I want to welcome Chris Duprey back to our program for a conversation that I think is going to be really enlightening for every one of our listeners and our watchers. A lot of the conversations we've had around AI have felt very, very tactical, very much about how to and what you need to do to engineer a prompt. We're zooming out a little bit. We're thinking a little bit more cerebrally, and this is based on something that you said the other day, Chris. So I'm gonna say it back to you and then let you explain to our audience what you mean. You said AI adoption is about a mindset shift. It's not about learning the skills of a particular tool or platform. Explain what you mean.
Yeah. So I think when you start with anything new or any change, it is exponentially more about understanding how a tool, how a new technology per se can help you. And so there's really two ways that you can show up from a mindset perspective. One is that scared, pessimistic approach of like, what can go wrong and what are all the horrible things that are now going to be possible because of X. Or you can look at it and go, holy smokes, what's possible? Right. And so this mindset shift has to happen to it's not I like AI or I don't. It's here and it's evolving and we have a choice to make. And that choice is, do we resist what is happening? Because let's be real clear. Today, AI is supercharging knowledge workers to do more and better work than folks that aren't using it. That is just a reality that we have to accept. Quite frankly, the Boston Consulting Group just did a study on this where they showed that people, consultants using AI outperformed others that weren't using it. Right. So that's just a fact. So the mindset we have to have is, how do we bring this into our day to day? How do we bring this into our own work so that we can then bring it to the rest of our teams? And so if you have the mindset of it's here, I'm going to figure out how to integrate it, then the tactical just happens, right? But if you look at it as here's all the negative things, you're likely to have a negative interaction with AI and then write it off. And that will set you back likely years against folks that are leveraging it. Right. And so it's about shifting how we think so that we go into the what's possible and accept the reality that is in front of us, which is this is here and it's super duper helpful in all kinds of different ways.
Yeah. And I love that sort of creative and opportunistic mindset that we bring to it because it allows us to see, as you said, what's possible. It could be in our core areas of expertise, it could be in adjacent fields that we don't have developed expertise in, and all of a sudden there are tools that can bring us way past where we are. And that is exciting.
Yeah. And it's actually, I believe, the best in areas where we have extreme knowledge as well, so that it supercharges strengths and allows us to really dig in and do that stuff that only we can do while the supporting efforts are all happening for us.
So, with all of that in mind, I want to lean on your COO experience a bit, Chris. And I'd like to put a couple sort of common business tasks in front of you. And I want you to use that mindset that you're talking about to just see what's possible. How could AI as it exists now or as it's being developed help us, or how could we bring that mindset to each of these to think in new ways about really familiar, everyday things that we encounter?
Yeah.
Sound good?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. Okay. So, performance reviews.
Yeah. So I think that when we think about like a task like performance reviews, you could so I'll use myself as an example. I think and then type, right? So it's if we were to apply an analogy, I'm probably more of a ready, shoot, aim than ready, aim, fire type of person. So I can get all my thoughts into, say, ChatGPT, and then say, now take these and turn them into, actionable pieces of feedback that I can deliver in a performance review. Now, I can't just take what it gives me, but it can take my messy stream of consciousness and lay it out in a way that's understandable. And then I can go review it, make some changes, but then I'm good to go.
A great reminder that there are also AI tools that interact with you audially, not just in typing. There's a tool called Audio Pen where you can record up to 15 minutes of talking, and it will consolidate and organize your thoughts into something that feels really coherent. So you can sort of choose the way you want to interact. There are, as we all know, a profusion of tools coming on the marketplace and more every day. So, okay, great point. Second, company communication.
Well, so here's where the large language models win for us, because we can ask it, and when I say large language model, we're talking about a Chat GPT, we're talking about Llama 2, and there's others out there as well. But the idea is, again, for someone like me, it might be stream of consciousness. For somebody else, it might be super detailed, and they might write the great American novel for an email or a company report, and it needs to now get summarized. We can teach the large language model who our company is and say, here are the main things that we want to make sure we cover down on. Take this and form the right email, the right video script, the right Slack message, like insert however you communicate. And again, it's going to take raw thought, use everything it knows, show up as what you've told it to show up as, and create the right message for you.
Third, competitive analysis.
Yeah. This is one that I think is going to be really huge for everybody, right? So it's this idea of, how do we go leverage AI to go look at what others are doing in the marketplace, look at things like the keywords that they're going after, look at things like how they're displaying their message, what they're talking about, and then match it up against how we talk about it. And this is the cool part about AI. So we can go have it research all this stuff, and then we can say, now act as, insert the description of your target buyer, your ideal fit buyer, and say, based on everything you know, who do you trust more? Who would you be more comfortable talking to? And that then gives us insight into areas that we might need to improve our messaging, our content in in correlation to how the marketplace is also doing it. So it's really fascinating stuff that you can dig into here, John.
Okay, so connected to that, say you're launching a new service, a new product, a go-to-market strategy.
Yeah, I mean, we briefly touched on this a few episodes ago with having AI look at your copy, but this is where you can go train a large language model on the new offering, whether it's a product or a service. You can tell it who the who the target buyer is. You can teach it all these things and then say, what are the gaps in my go-to-market strategy? Or you can say, now that you know all this, give me your best swing at a go-to-market strategy that encompasses content, advertising, social media, and develop a plan for me. And I'm going to tell you, John, it develops a pretty solid plan that, again, this idea is that we, instead of starting from a clean piece of paper, we can type a few things in and take work that's already been done and supercharge it to where we're at like 70% complete because we have something that we can take and then run with and tweak and work through. Whereas for me, prior to having AI, it meant staring at a whiteboard full of sticky notes for a really long time before I ever started typing or ever started really connecting all the dots. Whereas now with AI, you can connect the dots like this.
Yeah, I love it. I think the idea that we, as you say, we stay as the human in the loop. If AI gives you 50 ideas, maybe 20 of them are garbage, 10 of them are okay, and 20 of them are fantastic.
Yeah.
But it gives you that many ideas. You can sort through them. You can be the one who evaluates and sort of triages them into those different lists.
Yeah.
But you're not starting with a blank, as you said, a blank canvas.
Well, and here's the coolest thing about mindset and like the difference. If you had a teammate that came up with 5 bad ideas, right? And you tell them, "Hey, those aren't great." There's a chance that they could take that the wrong way. There's all this interpersonal stuff that could happen. Every time my, Chat GPT sends me something I don't like, I tell it, "That's not what I'm looking for. Hey, try this, or this." And it never gets upset with me. It actually is like, "Oh, hey, was this better?" Right? It's always trying to do better. And so there's no interpersonal issues that arise when you do it this, when you do this. And so it actually makes things smoother and faster um, on the creating side for me.
Just to pause and remind everyone watching and listening, I'm talking to Chris Duprey, who is a business coach here at Impact, and he is drawing on his experience both as in the work that you do with clients and the work that you do here in Impact as our one of our lead salespeople. All right, two more for you. Employee compensation.
Yeah. So again, take everything about competitive analysis and apply that to benchmark data that's out there. Because in almost every industry, there's some benchmark data, or you can feed it data on your current employee set. Now, don't use names unless you have a protected large language model that you're in that it doesn't feed the rest of the world. But you can go have it analyze things. You can have it analyze the marketplace. See what is the average compensation for X. How do you stack up against it? Right. I am not a I am not in that field anymore where this is stuff that I'm personally doing right now. But I know that you can load in spreadsheets and the amounts of data analysis and just outputs that you can get from AI in those arenas is game changing to help businesses make decisions, right? Again, to your point, be the human in the loop. But the reality is, these tools are supercharged to help us work through issues like this.
So, with all of this said, Chris, I want to talk to you about when you bring this to clients, when you ask them to adopt this mindset. Is there like how do you get them to see possibility and not threat? Because all public opinion polls show that more people are feel threatened by AI than see the possibility.
Sure. So, in all reality, I start this way. Like, I am afraid myself that John Connor's gonna come back and try to save the world, right? Like, even though I'm a huge, huge proponent of using AI, there is still some fear that lies into the what's possible in the future because what I'm seeing right now is awesome and can only get better. So I start there. I tell them, like, it's okay to be afraid because we're on the edge as Dharmesh Shah said, I think this isn't a once in a lifetime technology shift. This is a many lifetimes worth like it's a once in many lifetimes technology shift, right? So I start there. I acknowledge the thing. And then we go into practical ways that leaders can start building. So it's building efficiencies, but it's beyond building efficiencies. I really like this term supercharging their workforce because that's how I feel personally. And I'll tell you, I've got some amazing clients, and there's one in particular, I brag about them all the time as being one of the best they ask you answer examples, and it's Opus Partners, out of New Zealand, small company out of New Zealand. But they are so forward on this, John, and they're so forward to the point of they do tons of research, right? Because they're financial advisors in the real estate market, helping Kiwis save, basically build plans so they can retire well, right? And so they do research in all the different areas. They do research on what the economy's doing, housing prices, all this stuff. They've now leveraged AI to they can go change something in a Google sheet and it changes the content for a package of information that their sales team or their property partners use to go talk about investment properties. So it's not sifting, they don't anymore have to sift through this long, arduous process. They literally have taken AI and given it a few key things so that they can create these selling documents really in a fast and efficient way. And that's just one use, right? But the idea is companies like them are going to find every little way to maximize and gain momentum using this. And it starts with the senior folks going, "Yes, this is important." So senior folks, we're not saying that you need to be the AI gurus of your organization. I would say you have to be the champions of letting people dive in, challenging people to figure out how can I take my game to the next level by leveraging AI. And if y'all do that in your organizations, you don't even know what could happen. That's John, what I'm seeing with the clients that I'm working with, the other folks that I'm talking to, and quite frankly, in the work that I do on the creative side, on the speaking side, is I feel like it's totally supercharged us. So if I'm saying here's a couple things that you have to do, it's we have to embrace the fact, John, that AI's here. It is a huge advancement in technology and in the way that we're going to live and work, and there's no going back from it. So we have to embrace that. The second thing is you have to choose, do you want to basically live a business life in fear or say, "Holy smokes, what's possible? Let's go get it." And then 3, when you choose, "Holy smokes, let's go get it," you have to be beating the drum over and over again and challenging folks to show you what they're doing. Show you what they're doing, and that's how we're all gonna figure out what's possible. That's how we're all gonna figure out what's possible. As Dharmesh said, he fell in love with AI, and we all need to fall in love with it, and I am. And I was very skeptical 6 months ago. But when you as a leader go do this one thing, which is go to ChatGPT, tell it who you are, tell it what you do, and say, "How can you help me?" Your mind will be blown. That is what I did, John. And the second I did that, I went, "Oh, that's a lot of stuff I wasn't even thinking about." And now here I am talking to you, trying to get other people to do the same thing, right? So that is that big, big takeaway for you to get on board. And if you're still like, "Oh, Chris, I just don't know," let's talk about this with your leadership team, with your sales team, with your marketing team. Let's have a conversation about this because this is the thing that's going to take you to the next level. I'm very, very, very positive
Yeah,
about that.
totally agree. Great conversation. Great points, Chris. And as you said, and just a reminder to everyone who's listening, if you are struggling with these questions, talk to us. We help businesses just like yours, not just with AI, but also with sales and marketing and leadership and communication, training to be the best versions of yourself you can. But AI is very much on anyone's mind, and we have a training regimen that we think is really, really robust and compelling for businesses who are on the edge, dipping their toe in, wanting to see what's possible. Chris, thanks for your time today. Great conversation, as always.
Yep. Looking forward to talking to some of y'all soon.